beautiful. Look at that. Hello, welcome to my channel. Thank you for visiting again. I hope you enjoyed the last video where we went to Sugar Republic. I thoroughly enjoyed the experience there, and I've been inspired by some of the elements to create something today to share with you. Something that I think you can create for your friends, family, for parties. It's going to be an ice cream that it can be eaten at room temperature. Please subscribe and like, and let's get started. So the first part of today's recipe is a cupcake. So we're going to use a bowl. And in the bowl, we're going to put 80 grams of sifted self-raising flour. This is a really easy recipe because we're going to put everything together and just mix it up. I have softened butter here, 90 grams of it. You can find the recipe on the link below. We have sugar, 110 grams. We're going to put in a little bit of vanilla extract. I love using the vanilla paste. And then we have 110 grams of sugar in there. We're going to get it to be a little bit soft, so we're going to put a couple tablespoons of milk, and we're going to crack 2 eggs. It's always best to crack your eggs in a separate bowl, just in case we have any shells. I really like this recipe because lots of kids can do it. It's really nice and simple. Everything goes in. You don't have to wait for one ingredient to be incorporated and then the next. So at this point you can put different colors in there, you can make a rainbow, whatever you like, but we're just going to leave it white today because we have lots of sprinkles already. So here's a tray I prepared earlier. I'm going to show you how to balance these ice cream cones so they don't fall over. So to make one of these, you need roughly 30 centimeters of aluminium foil. The trick is to be really rough with this. If you're too careful, it's too neat and it won't create that 3D shape to hold it. So we're just going to do circles. And we're just going to push it down. So it's going to stay standing. And use your fingers to make that cone shape and test it out, see if it fits. Shove it in there nice and tight. And ta-da! That looks good. To help us with putting the batter in, we're going to use a piping bag. If you haven't used a piping bag before, you put it in onto your hand and pull it backwards like you're rolling a sleeve. And you always feel halfway, never more than halfway. So we put our lovely batter in. Just push it right to the bottom. Spin it until it's full, and then you can fill your cupcakes. You can put lollies at the bottom if you want, but we won't do that today. We're going to keep it nice and simple. Fill it 2/3 of the way up. Try to fill them all equally so they bake at the same time. And they're ready to go in the oven. So the oven temperature was preset to 160 degrees. Depending on the size of your cone, it's going to take between 15 and 20 minutes. We're going to check on them in 15 minutes time. Now, for the next bit, we're going to do our strawberry jam. So we're going to have a center of gooey goodness. This was inspired by the lovely donut wall that we saw at Sugar Republic. Okay, so we have 250 grams of strawberries. And just to speed things up today, I'm just going to cut it really small. It doesn't matter, you don't have to cut them. You can keep them whole if you have time. For the center of our cupcakes, we're going to make this lovely strawberry jam. We're using fresh strawberries, and it's the same strawberry jam that you could make and put inside your donuts. So it's really simple. It's just strawberries, and we're going to cook it down with some sugar. 250 grams of strawberry needs about a quarter cup of sugar, or 65 grams if you want to weigh it. And we're going to put it on the stovetop for 10 minutes. So we're just giving it a little bit of a stir, helping the sugar dissolve. And you can see that the strawberries are quickly breaking down with the heat. I wish you could smell this. It smells like strawberry heaven. Okay, so it's been about 8 minutes. I'm just gonna add the lemon juice. Give it a stir. And then that will stop it from discoloring. And I'm gonna add 3 teaspoons of corn flour mixed with water. If I put the corn flour straight in, it will just clump up, so we have to make sure we dissolve it in the water as finely as possible. That looks good to me, no lumps. Okay. So now that we have the corn flour mixed in the water, we can mix it in. That's gonna thicken everything. Back on the stove for a bit. Okay, so I just put it under the heat so the corn flour would cook. And look, it's really thick. And we're gonna pass it through a sift. It's really hard to show you. Try my best. Remember, scrape everything. Makes everything easier to wash afterwards. Whenever you make jams or anything, your pot should be filled with a little bit of water as you put it in the sink, and it will make washing a breeze later on. I'm just passing it through. If you have one of these scrapey things, they cost about $2. They're like the best things to have in the kitchen when you need to sieve anything. Very good to make mashed potatoes as well with. You can eat the lumps if you want to. Ooh, look at that. Now you can, if you want to, add like a dab of vanilla essence in here, or vanilla bean. That looks really good. The way to check this is you poke your finger, and if it's bouncy like a jumping castle, it means that the sponge inside is all cooked. And if you want to double check, you poke a toothpick right in the middle, take it out, and if it's clean, it's good. Okay, so we're gonna leave these to cool on a wire rack, which I prepared earlier, obviously not. So we're gonna take these and just try to cool it as quickly as possible so we can decorate them. So for the next bit, we're going to make the really fluffy frosting. So I thought about which frosting to make, and I think this one's the most suitable one because it's wider, so it looks more like ice cream, and it's also very soft. So it reminds me of all the fairy floss at Sugar Republic. So we're gonna start off with gelatin, and you always sprinkle gelatin into water. Try to mix it around a bit. Okay, so we have gelatin and a little bit of water. Then we're gonna try and melt the sugar. Now we can do this on the stovetop, or we can do it in the microwave. So with the sugar, we're gonna add just a little bit of water. Okay, I'm just gonna stir it up. Now you can see the grains as I'm stirring. I'm gonna use another spoon. Anyway, we're just gonna microwave it for, I don't know, a minute. I'm gonna try to dissolve all the sugar in there. We can do this over the stovetop or over in the microwave. Doesn't really matter, but if you use a microwave, use something with a handle so that it's not hot, easy to handle, unintended. And now we're going to try and dissolve the gelatin. Ooh. So just gonna microwave that again. In the meantime, we're gonna beat the butter really well until it goes super pale, like that. So we're gonna have 250 grams of butter into the machine. It's a really good way to measure butter using baking paper, then you have less washing to do. And then you can use the baking paper to rest your utensils while you do your cooking. That's better. Okay, as you can see, it's starting to look quite pretty. It's like really pale. So I'm gonna scrape any bits that hasn't been scraped by our lovely scraper attachment. This is called a K attachment, if you didn't know, because it looks like the letter K. Just use your imagination. If you don't have a beater, that's okay. You can use a hand mixer, or you can volunteer somebody in your family to mix really hard for you for a really long time. While we wait for that to mix, we're going to just sift this through just in case we have any lumps, and we're going to use this container because it's easier to pour into the machine later on. Adding a little bit of vanilla bean. Put it down so that it smells delicious. So we're going to make it really pretty, and we're going to do that with a little bit of melted chocolate. We have little hearts, and we have hundreds and thousands. So satisfying. Then we just dip them with chocolate, and then we dip them in whatever we want. Oh, look how cool it looks. Cool? Okay, just gonna hang it there. Dip it in the chocolate. Not too much, otherwise it will slide. Just enough to make it stick. I'm gonna try the hearts this time. Oh, that is lovely. So I'm just gonna, using an apple corer, I'm just going to make a hole, poke it out, careful your fingers. Next one. Oops. If it's stuck there, you just twirl it a bit and it'll come out. You can taste it. It's really good. It's really buttery, it's really vanilla, really soft. So fill it up. Oh, it looks so pretty. Okay, so we're gonna slowly pour in the gelatin, milk, and sugar mixture. I'm going to get a piping bag with a star nozzle so it looks like ice cream, and to cut it you just measure it and try to get obviously smaller than that diameter, otherwise it will flop out, but bigger than that tip. So I'm going to go say here. If you don't have a piping bag, you can use a lunch Ziploc bag. That works really good as well. So you're going to twist as much as you can and then start piping. So it looks like an ice cream. And whenever you feel like it's really hard to press, just give it a twirl. Okay. So I'm going to put these balls that remind me of the really fun ball pit at Sugar Republic. A bit of each. Thank you so much for watching the video. I really hope you enjoyed the recipe. If you have any feedback, please comment below. I would love to hear from you. I hope you can subscribe and like to support me, and I can't wait to make more content for you to share.